It's Saturday, we got NFL action tomorrow, and that means it's time to pour through the underdog lines and see which players Vegas is higher on or lower on than maybe we are going into week 4. If you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, this is a great time because if you go and sign up right now using promo code ENDGAME, not only are you going to get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus cash, but you're also going to get this Caleb Williams free pick. He does anything on Sunday, you win that pick. Plus, when you play $5, they're going to give you another $100 in bonus cash. Just make sure you join using promo code ENDGAME to take advantage of all these perks. And real quick, before we get to the picks, I need to ask a favor. Only 70% of the people who actually watch this channel are subscribed. We need to get that number up, and we are on a road to 100K this year. Help us get to 100K subscribers. We are getting closer and closer. Just take 1 second out of your day, hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. And as always, let's start at QB, and I think the one that jumps out to me the most is rookie Jackson Dart, obviously making his first start this week. Only 188.5 passing yards. This is one of the lowest. I think it might actually be the lowest on the entire slate this week. Now, if there's something that could help him, it's that they have his rushing line at 35.5. That is a very high rushing line for a quarterback here. This is a guy we know can run, can maybe score a rushing touchdown, but man, this is a tough spot for a rookie quarterback against this Chargers defense. I would be very, very nervous, even in a super flex league, if I had to roll out Jackson Dart this week. I understand with all the quarterback injuries, you might have to. Let's hope he can save his day with some rushing, maybe a rushing touchdown, but not expecting a great day from Jackson Dart in his first start. Look, in a deeper league, 14, 16 teamer, you want to stash him because, again, maybe you've been decimated at the quarterback position. Totally fine with that. Don't think you need to start him in a 1 QB league. But even super flex, I'm not feeling great. But for the second straight week, I'm feeling really good about Geno Smith. 256.5 passing yards. This is the highest line, tied with Justin Herbert, of the entire week for quarterbacks. And it makes sense. The Raiders are throwing the ball a ton, and they're facing the Bears this week. Look, you take out that week 2 game against the Chargers, so there's your other cautionary tale here for if you're going to start Jackson Dart this week. Geno Smith has been really good the other 2 games. I think he's one of the best streaming quarterbacks. You know, when you look at it on Yahoo, guys like Fields, Jordan Love, I mean, these guys, Daniel Jones, these guys are 80, 90% rostered. You're probably not going to find these guys. But again, if you're in a deeper league, a 14, 16 team league, you're hurting at the quarterback position, you need to find a streaming option. I think Geno Smith is one of the best low-owned streamers out there, available in most fantasy leagues. So I think he's going to have another big game here against his Bears defense. That doesn't scare me at all. I know Dak didn't have a big game last week, but he lost CeeDee Lamb very early in that game. That is a big blow. He's still got Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker now, I guess. I think Geno's going to have a very solid game this week against this Bears defense. So again, you're looking for a deeper league streamer who's not widely rostered out there. Geno's your guy. All right, let's move on to running back now. And look, admittedly, we were maybe a little too low on Jordan Mason. Not that we were out on Jordan Mason last week or anything, but we didn't expect him to have that big of a game. He gets another great matchup this week against the Steelers, and Underdog has him at 81.5 rushing yards, one of the highest lines of the week here. I really wanted to put Mason on the boom, but I don't think Pierre's quite as high on Mason as I am this week, but I love Jordan Mason this week against this Steelers defense. This should be another game where the Vikings are easily in control, easily able to run the ball. That Steelers offense, after week 1, when Aaron Rodgers, gave it everything he had against his former team, they've showed nothing the last 2 weeks, and now they got to go against this elite Vikings unit. Again, I don't know if it's going to be quite as good as last week where they're just annihilating the Steelers like they were the Bengals, but they should certainly be in control here, being able to use Jordan Mason, and this Steelers run game looks terrible. They're giving up the most missed tackles on the season. Yeah, this is another great spot for Jordan Mason. He's a strong start for me this week, borderline must start. Fire him up. And I know you're worried about Ashton Jeanty. We're all worried about Ashton Jeanty. He's not paying off first, second round ADP. But look, 65.5 rushing yards this week. This is a good line for a running back, and I like Ashton Jeanty against this Bears defense. The big issue for Ashton Jeanty this year has been getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. It's over like 57% of his attempts, he's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. The good news for this week is the Bears defense ranks dead last in terms of yards before contact per attempt allowed. They're allowing the most yards before contact per attempt. If there's a week where this Raiders offensive line can actually give Jeanty room to run, this is it against this Bears defense. Look, he's too talented. He's too good. He's going to have a breakout game at some point. It certainly could be this week. And you know what? I'm betting on it. Let's go all in with Ashton Jeanty. I'm going to take the higher on his rushing line here of 65.5 rushing yards. You pair that with that Caleb Williams free pick. That's an easy way to get a W right out of the gates. And again, join with promo code ENDGAME because not only are you going to get this free pick, but you get a 50% deposit match up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Plus, put $5 on this pick, and win or lose, doesn't matter. Underdog is going to give you an extra $100 in bonus cash just for playing. One more running back that I'm definitely nervous about, and Underdog is with me here. Breece Hall, 49.5 rushing yards. That is not a very big rushing line. Now, look, I know it's the Dolphins, so you think, come on, it's the Dolphins. He should annihilate the Dolphins, and you're right, he should. They're a terrible run defense. But what I'm worried about is we saw last week, we've seen the gap between Breece Hall and Braylon Allen get closer, get closer. Last week, these guys were very close to a 50-50 split. We heard all offseason this is going to be a 50-50 split. Maybe we're starting to see that now. I know it's a good matchup. I'm not completely out on Breece Hall this week. I'm not like he's a must-sit or anything like that. But I don't think I'm as high on Breece Hall as a lot of people this week. And apparently Underdog agrees with me. I'm very worried we're going to see more Braylon Allen than we want to see in this matchup. So understand if you're rolling with Breece, not going to be completely out on Breece. Still got upside. It is still a great matchup for running backs. Just wonder how much Breece are we going to see this week. Hopefully we see more and we can feel more confident in him going forward. But I'm a little nervous that we don't. All right, let's go to wide receiver now. I've been out on DK Metcalf ever since he got traded to the Steelers, and nothing I've seen this season has changed my mind. And look, 49.5 receiving yards. It's a very low line for a wide receiver one, but I'm with it. I'm not starting DK Metcalf if I can help it this week. Aaron Rodgers has barely thrown for 200 yards each of the last two games. DK Metcalf has done nothing this year. Like, he's scored in each of the last two games, and that's just keeping him afloat. Now he has to go against his Vikings defense, defense that looks like it's a defense you just want to stay away from. No, thank you. I'm out on DK Metcalf this week. Look, I get it. If you don't have better options, if you have to, he could continue to score. But man, if he doesn't score this week, you're probably going to wish he was on your bench. And I feel the same way about Jordan Addison. I know you're probably excited. You're getting Jordan Addison back this week. You might need Jordan Addison, but 36.5 receiving yards. That is like very low. I mean, we're talking like not even great tight end type range here. I'm not feeling a big Jordan Addison week this week. We saw Hawkinson get more involved last week. Jefferson, we know, is still the number one here. And how much are they really going to have to throw in this game? Again, talking about it here, this is a game where the Vikings should easily be winning this game, controlling the clock, not having to really, force the ball down the field, force those big plays. Look, Jordan Addison is one of those guys who can always hit on a long touchdown. And if he does, yeah, he'll probably pay off for you this week as a flex start. But man, if he doesn't, not really sure what you're going to get here. This doesn't feel like the game where he's going to hit one of those big plays. So I'm benching Jordan Addison this week if I can. I understand if you can't. At least he does have that big play, home run, touchdown potential. But outside of that, I don't think we're getting a lot from Jordan Addison in his first game back. Now, admittedly, a player that Pierre is higher on than I am this week is Drake London. But look, Underdog Vegas, they like Drake London. 66.5 receiving yards. That's a pretty solid line here. We're talking like, I haven't looked and figured all of them out, but that's probably top 10, top 12 line here, man. I'm nervous about this Falcons offense after the last 2 weeks, Michael Penix Jr., but at the same time, I also understand it's got to get better, right? They're at home this week. They've made changes. I don't think the changes are going to matter, but what happens when teams make these changes is it sends a message to the players like, this is not acceptable. We need to be better. So they should be better this week. This isn't a smash spot on paper, but we know Drake London's the guy. We know he's going to get the targets. Underdog seems to think he'll be just fine this week, so that gives me a little more confidence here in Drake London. I think he's still a solid start. I have him risky solid this week. Maybe I should move him into the normal solid here because he does get the targets. He does have big play upside. He could always score. So, look, Underdog's in on him. Maybe I got to be a little more in on him this week than I was. But a guy we both love this week, Jakobi Meyers, 66.5 yards here. Again, I'm pretty sure this is like a top 10 receiving line for Underdog this week among all wide receivers. Talked about it going against this Bears defense. They're giving up the third most fantasy points to slot wide receivers. They're giving up the most touchdowns to slot wide receivers right now. Now, I will say if Kyle Gordon plays their slot corner, the Bears slot corner, that may knock him down a peg, but not enough here. We already talked Geno Smith has the highest passing line on the slate. Yeah, I know we saw Trey Tucker have a big game last week, but We've seen other guys like Wan'Dale, Troy Franklin pop off for big games. Doesn't mean they're the number one wide receivers. Jacoby's still the number one wide receiver here in a great matchup. I think you got to fire up Jakobi Meyers. If you got him this week, he should be in store for a big game. But I can't say I feel like there's going to be a big game for Travis Kelce. 38.5 yards. I mean, this shouldn't even be shocking at this point. If you came into the season thinking you were going to draft Travis Kelce and get anything close to prime Travis Kelce, not sure what to tell you. Hopefully you realize now you're not getting that. I mean, this guy is touchdown or bust, basically. He's one of these tight ends. He scores, you feel good. He doesn't, you wish you hadn't started him. Like throwing his helmet, starting fights with the coach. Like, man, I don't know what's going on with Travis Kelce, the Chiefs offense, everything, but it is not good right now. Cannot feel good firing up Travis Kelce this week. If you have to, you have to. You're hoping he scores, but outside of that, yeah, good luck. But you should still feel good about Tyler Warren. I know he didn't have a great week 3, but look, 49.5 receiving yards. That's one of the better lines for tight ends this week. In fact, I think it's only behind Trey McBride right now, who already played. So you got to feel good if you have Tyler Warren. Don't panic because of one down game last week. Remember, Brock Bowers wasn't going off every week of the season last year. Nobody goes off every week of the season. Tyler Warren will be fine. Don't stress about Tyler Warren. If you got Tyler Warren, he's a lineup lock. You just leave him in your lineup. You take whatever he gives you, because probably most weeks it's going to be really good. And I think this week it's going to be really good. Now, whether you agree or disagree with those picks, look, if you disagree, go take advantage of it. Put in a pick'em on Underdog. But I think we can all agree on this. You should definitely be watching Fantasy Endgame this year. Make sure you're checking out our playlist this week. Everything we need to help you dominate in week 4.